Ran into a rocko in my restroom. Singer/actress in my bedroom. Got a half a ticket for a walkthrough. Everything I do is big. I talk big money, I talk big homes. I sell out arenas, I call that getting dome. $1 million voice.
Good evening, YouTube. This is the Atheist Killer, the AK, back with a brand new Ownage video. So there's this guy named Iansheridan123. He made a response video to the Elliot argument claiming that it was a big fat fail, or that it was a lie. So this is really just an Ownage video to that, man. It didn't take much time. It didn't take much effort. As everyone already knows, the Elliot argument is irrefutable, undefeatable, and it's 100% sound and valid. So let's just get into this really quick. At the beginning of his video, Mr. Sheridan actually asked me a question. He asked me how many atheists I've converted with my argument. Well, this is a typical straw man. He implies that if no atheists have been converted, that the Elliot argument is not valid. However, that's not the case. The answer to his question is that I've converted no atheists that I'm aware of with any of my arguments. And it's my position that I will never convert any atheists using formal argumentation. God has already presented the greatest arguments and evidences of all time. Yet atheists still exist, still deny, and still run. It's not my intention to convert atheists with my arguments. It is to destroy them, annihilate them, humiliate them, and show how ignorant, illogical, and pathetic their position truly is when stripped down to its foundation, using science. However, converting people and helping them see the truth is a very, very important endeavor. The best way to do this, though, is to introduce them to God with a love and kindness, not blast them with a formal argument that is irrefutable and has an antagonistic conclusion such as mine. That just makes the atheists more and more angry and more mad and pushes them away even further. One of my other arguments, named the Peachtree argument, actually proves that all atheists are dishonest liars. They aren't people who can be converted. When a person opens their heart, quits denying, and quits lying to themselves, that is when they can be reached. And that is when they can hear real truth. At which point they are no longer atheists, but rather what I like to call truth-seeking agnostics. Up until that point, they are really impossible to reach, even with the most unfalsifiable of arguments, and therefore a conversion is impossible. So when someone comes to me with a genuine search for truth, I never push the Elliot argument or any of my other arguments directly down their throats. I show them love and humility like Jesus would do. So let's get into the meat of Mr. Sheridan's response video. First, he claims that the Elliot argument commits a straw man fallacy because he says that I've defined atheism in such a way that I can disprove it. So right off the bat, in response to this, let me just say, thank you! Why? Because with this statement, he has just admitted that I do in fact disprove atheism with my argument, which I totally agree with. I have destroyed atheism. However, I didn't do so by defining atheism in an invalid manner. Atheists, you see, are people who deny or disbelieve that there is a God. So if you deny there is a God, you're an atheist. Or if you disbelieve there is a God, you're an atheist. I'm not telling you what your stance has to be and then attacking it. Rather, I'm using the position that you have selected, the position that you have chosen against yourself. If you don't like the definition of atheism, then maybe you aren't an atheist at all. But wait, you do like the definition, because I think without even knowing it, you admitted it. At 2 minutes and 33 seconds of your video, you say, atheism is about a lack of belief in God. And then you go on to say at 2:51 of your video, it's fair to believe there is no God. That is exactly my point, Mr. Sheridan. This is precisely what atheism is about, the denial and disbelief of a God. And this is how the Elliot argument defines atheism. So it's no straw man fallacy at all. What you presented is not true and therefore does not defeat my argument. We aren't talking about anyone making the claim to know God does not exist. Atheists are people who deny or disbelieve there is a God. And you admitted this twice in your video. So thank you. The Elliot argument is no straw man fallacy whatsoever. So next, Mr. Sheridan claims that the Elliott argument is a false dichotomy. Oh boy, I've heard this 1,000 times. He says that there are in fact more options for atheists than the two provided. However, he just asserts this fact without proving it, like many atheists do. Therefore, not providing evidence of a false dichotomy at all. His claim was that a third option is simply saying, I don't know. However, for some, while saying I don't know is an honest stance, it's not providing a third option for how our physical universe came to be. Logically, the way my two acronyms are defined, it's impossible to present a third option. But you are more than welcome to try. However, saying I don't know is not presenting a third option for how the universe came to be. If it is, then explain how the letters IDK created it. I'm just kidding, man. Hopefully you get the point. You've not presented a third option at all, but rather prove my point, really, that there is only two options. Mr. Sheridan then goes into saying he won't claim to be an STE or SCP in CEU. Good idea, sir, because I'm sure that he's smart enough to realize both are irrational, illogical, and have no evidence. Problem here is that for the atheists, these are their only two options. There is nothing else for them. Mr. Sheridan says, we don't know how things were just moments after the Big Bang. But this is totally irrelevant to the Elliott argument. You see, before the expansion of the singularity in the Big Bang model, there was space and time. People used to be able to make the claim that asking what was before the expansion was a question that made no sense, because the expansion is what created space and time itself. This is not true. An atheist can no longer make such an absurd claim. Unless, of course, they can prove energy can exist without events happening. And also prove energy can exist without the potential to exist with some form of space. You see, time, my friend, is a measurement of events. So where did the space-time come from? Was it eternal in the past without beginning? Or did it come into being from pure nothingness on its own? Next, Mr. Sheridan talks about multi-universe theories, string theories, cyclical universe theory, big crunch theory, bounce theory, etc. Apparently, he doesn't know what the names of these are, but he tries to describe them very pathetically in his video. The problem is, all of these theories which he mentions fall under my acronym STE. So again, Mr. Sheridan did not provide a third option at all, but rather introduced many unknown theories that all fall under my defined acronym STE and have no evidence. But beyond that, since those theories fall under STE, this demonstrates them to be irrational and illogical as well. Why? Because they are all eternal cycles. For example, if there were an infinite number of universes before ours that had been on some eternal cycle of expanding and contracting and producing new universes in the process, that faces the problem of infinite regress. And our universe would never be the one which is the one that gets created. Why? Because these cycles that you speak of have been going on for an eternity without beginning. And if there is no beginning, you can never reach our current position in time. Demonstration of this is, how long does it take to get from starting point A to point B if starting point A is an infinite distance away? The answer here is you can never reach point B because it's an untraversable distance. While there are points on an infinite line that can be measured, if you're trying to reach a point on the line from an infinite starting point, you can never reach your goal. There are many, many, many other demonstrations like this that I can give. But again, hopefully, you get the point. Next, Mr. Sheridan goes on to say, it's fair to assume a naturalistic beginning rather than a supernatural creator. This is again another straw man on his part, because the Elliott argument actually makes no claims about the existence or validity of the UC option. The reader of the Elliott argument may or may not come to the conclusion that the UC option is the preferred option, but the Elliott argument itself makes no such claims in any of its premises or conclusion. So calm down with your straw mans, bro. Then he tries to make up his own argument. He says that I, the AK, have to choose. Either God is eternal, God was created and finite, or God is unknowable. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'll go with option number 1. God is eternal. And that's the definition of God that I use. But it's important to remember God is spaceless and timeless up until the moment of creation, at which point gives space and time the beginning that it needs to allow us to arrive at our current position. He then says that if I claim God exists, that I must provide evidence for this. First of all, I thought we were talking about the Elliott argument. The Elliott argument makes no claims about the existence or validity of God, as I've already stated in this video. And furthermore, I only phase debate. Listen everyone, Chad Elliott, the AK Atheist Killer, only phase debates. Phase 1 is where my opponent must either defeat the Elliott argument or admit that it's valid. Mr. Sheridan has done neither of these as of yet, so he remains in phase 1. Phase 2 and 3 is when we get into the evidences, the necessity, the probabilities, the statistical information, argumentation, etc. of God's existence. Mr. Sheridan was blocked from my Facebook page for not answering questions and for rule violation. But in his recent video, he claims that it was because he pointed out the fallacies in my argument. So that is why I banned him. This is not true. Hopefully, after watching this, you will see how sad and delusional his position really is, and that he hasn't even come close to touching or defeating the Elliott argument. If he ever wants to have a live one-on-one real-time public debate and stop making excuses of why he won't, then I extend my hand to you with this offer, man. Let him know I extend my hand to you. Get demolished in real time so we don't have to make these stupid videos. Let the world see. Until then, enjoy my zoo, Mr. Sheridan. You've been owned not once now, but twice. Ah, man. And finally, in the show more part underneath his video that he made, I noticed that he said the Elliott argument is the same as the Kalam cosmological argument, or that I ripped it off. This is not true. They are completely different arguments. They have completely different premises, different structure, and a completely different conclusion. They're not the same at all. Nice try again, but again, you fail and come up short. The Elliott argument has been around for almost 10 months and has yet to be defeated. If anyone else would like to give it a try, let me know and we can have a live one-on-one real-time debate. Until I see you again, God bless, and may your future conquests be honest and true. I'm out. Peace.